Welcome back to the lecture series on design thinking. In the previous lecture, we talked about the empathy phase, where we have collected so much of information and we have gone into the research of the situations, the ecosystem, the surroundings of the users related to the problem statement. And we have finalized the statement of the problem in a more actionable words. Once that is complete, now we'll move on to the next phase of ideation phase, where we'll convert the research part that we have collected into a more actionable insights. We'll collect the insights from the research that we've done so far. This is a very crucial phase of the entire design thinking, and where we need to generate ideas. And this is a phase where our emotional capabilities comes into picture, and they are going to play a major role. Only those who have the perseverance will survive here, and the entire process will go through the cycles of unstructured experimentations and intense clarity of details. We need to have the crystal clear clarity on every detail that we talk about, and long stretches with focuses on the details. So once we have the focus on such things, then we can extract meaningful informations, and we may identify the dissimilarities from the information that we have, and we can identify the trends in the data that we have. This phase usually is associated with swing of moods. We'll start with the hope, and we'll gradually dig deep into the insights. There we may feel low at times, but we should hang on, and those who have the perseverance and strong will come out with confidence. So this is all a part of the game, and the very idea of this ideation phase is to generate as many ideas as possible. To put it in best words of Linus Pauling, who is a Nobel laureate twice, once in chemistry and once for peace initiatives, what he said is, to have a good idea, you must have lots of ideas. That's the crux of the entire story here. Yeah, in this phase, optimism plays a major role, and the entire team has to cultivate the habit of showcasing the optimism. And they should believe that they're going to solve the problem, and they're going to serve the unmet needs of the users. The confidence should be there. And the major three activities that we do here is we'll tell the stories. Each member shall tell the stories. Storytelling is a very powerful tool here. And then find the themes out of the stories. They should construct themes. And brainstorming sessions has to happen and generate lots and lots of ideas. That's the entire crux of the entire ideation phase. One of the best tools of design thinking process, especially in the ideation phase, is storytelling. Storytelling is not that simple. It's not that straightforward. You need to do a lot of exercise and a lot of groundwork to create a story and to narrate it to the team. Why? Because this is where you are going to tap the emotional and other talents of the team members to think and to generate ideas. In storytelling, we should avoid generalizations because no two individuals are alike. We need to be very specific to the user and his behaviors and his observations. And we should not be judgmental. We should not judge the user immediately. No, we should present as it is, whatever raw that we have observed. We try to convert them into a story and narrate the story as it is. Usually, we start the storytelling of the user from his by introducing him, his character, and his surroundings, and then with respect to the problem, how he reacts, what are his what he do, what he hears, what he observes, and how does he behave to different situations, and how he values to different aspects of life, or with respect to the problem again, and what are his beliefs, what is his surrounding, what is the ecosystem, and what he cares, and what are the barriers faced by the user, and what are his pain points, and where he's getting frustrated, under what conditions he's getting frustrated, and how this is related to the problem that we are talking about, and so many things. So like this, we need to weave a story around his character and with respect to the problem that we are talking about or answering about. And we should narrate to the team members. While doing this, the team members, one of the team members should act as a scribe, and he should identify one-line sentences, small sentences of important points, because they are going to provide us the important points to generate the ideas. So while narrating the story, the other team members has to listen very carefully without any deviations. The story shall also contain most memorable part of the visit to that particular individual, and the experiences, most important experiences are special experiences that are being felt or faced with respect to the users. So this storytelling should encompass all these activities, and a good storytelling is going to pave the way to generate new ideas. During this process, we need to have certain steps to be followed, items to be followed. While one person speaks, the others should listen very carefully, attentively, without any deviation of the focus. And they should take the notes, and they should write it on sticky notes. One-line sentences, important one-line sentences can be observed, and they should be largely written, legibly written, so that even if you post it on the wall, they should be visible to all the members from a distance. And use concise phrases, one-line sentences, and incorporate meaningful quotes if required, so that they are very catchy and helpful for the participants' voice to identify. And after going through this process of storytelling, once this process of storytelling is over, display all the post-it notes, whatever you have written, the team members have written while the other members are narrating the stories. Display them on the wall through the post-it notes, and you can share photos. Not only that, you might have taken photos and other important material you can showcase. If you have collected any other material than photos to highlight any issue, you can also showcase them, so that your walls of the meeting room should reflect the important aspects of the storytelling collected from the users. This is a very important stage where, by looking at all these things, we should be able to generate ideas now. So once the storytelling part is over, and every member has narrated the stories of the users whom they have contacted, and collected the empathy maps and different note making they have done while going for different tours or different places. So once this narration is done, then the next step we need to do is we need to find the themes. What is common thread or common threads that are running across all the user interfaces, all the user experiences, user behaviors? So can we find anything similar, commonality? If we can find those things, they become the good themes. We need to identify, every member has to try and identify themes out of these stories. And best way to do this is to identify the similarities among the dissimilarities that we observe, and the dissimilarities among the similarity things. This is analyzing this way will give you a tool to identify the themes, underlying themes and important aspects. Not only that, can we cluster the experiences, group or regroup the users and the behaviors of the users based on their experiences? This clustering can be done in several ways. Again, we can note down different ways of clustering also. With respect to the problems faced, we can cluster them. With respect to the services that are being offered to them, we can cluster them like this. On various aspects, we can cluster them in a different formats. So try to cluster them in whatever fashion we can do that, so that clustering may produce different outputs. So clustering is one of the major impacts. And another thing is, try to look beyond the surface. Here is again where the imaginary part of the design thinker will come out, and he should be able to see beyond the surface, reading between the lines, and going beyond the surface, looking down beyond the surface. Try to ascertain or understand the problem or the needs of the users beyond the verbatim that they have give us. So all these things had to go in, and a kind of brainstorming has to happen with respect to each and every aspect so that best ideas can be generated from this. So we need to identify information that attracts more attention from the team members. Certain aspects will attract more attention. Again, we have to identify them. Though they are very remote, though they are very minimal in percentage, but certain aspects are very differently identified from the others. We need to look for them. Maybe they may produce different ideas. So we should not leave any corner in the brainstorming process here, and we should be able to generate ideas, and ideas from this phase. Similar to that of clustering, we can also go with the identification of the relationships among the users. That relationships also may produce clusters in a different way, rather. We can try to identify the relationships in several ways again, as we mentioned. So for each relationship, you try to observe as much information as possible among the commonalities and the dissimilarities and the solutions, possible solutions with respect to the problems of that particular smaller groups. Why? Because the smaller groups, the solutions in the smaller groups may be scaled up to the totality at a later time. So we don't know. So even if we think of local issues with respect to a particular cluster or with respect to a set of related members, that may produce good results for us later. So try to identify all such possibilities and note down everything here. Whatever you observe, you put it on paper, and later that can be used in the brainstorm sessions. So identifying the relationships, you iterate. Again, the relationships can be restructured, regrouped in several ways again. So all these things are to be noted down. So it's a Herculean task. It's not a simple one. It has to go on very meticulously and properly documented. Every bit and piece has to be properly documented. And we need to formulate the actionable themes from these relationships and applied to each cluster of the nodes. And best thing here is visual thinking. When it comes to the creating nodes, instead of going in words, we can have the diagrams, because they are going to convey we know that one diagram is going to convey 1,000 words. So any theme that you observe, any point that you observe out of these things, you can create a small diagram on your own, so that at the later stage of brainstorming, we can display all these things and they will project a different perspective to the entire process. The ideation phase involves several iterations. In the first iteration, the storytelling process will continue. Once that is over, and once the themes are to be identified, and as we mentioned in the last slides, that grouping and theme identification and all these things are to be done. So this is effectively done through a process called brainstorming process, where it's an iterative process. And it helps you to generate the tons and tons of ideas, creative options. We need to encourage each and every individual to come out with different ideas, not one or two, but in large numbers. The large number of seed ideas is going to help us to think about the problem in different directions. And we can narrow down them, prioritize them later. This is not the stage where we'll prioritize them. No, first we need to generate the ideas as many as possible. We need to identify the themes and all these things, but we need to generate ideas. The success of this brainstorming depends on the involvement of the team members who are curious enough, positive, energetic, creative, and playfully competitive. This is very important. They should be competitive. They should feel competition in producing the ideas, but at the same time they should be playful. No egos should come into picture, no hierarchies should come into picture. Everyone is equal, and sportively everyone has to come out with newer ideas and fresh ideas and different ideas. So collaborative approach and playful competition is the mantra of this particular brainstorming. And how effective the brainstorming is depicted in terms of the number of ideas and the variety of ideas and the depth of the ideas that we generate in this phase. So the success of this brainstorming depends on the variety of those such kind of ideas. So still in brainstorming, to be more effective, brainstorming can be started with a set of rules. So Every member should agree on set of rules, and those rules can be displayed on the wall of the meeting hall so that everybody follows them scrupulously. The rules can be like this, that there should be a timekeeper so that everybody is given priority and everybody will be given an equal time share to share the ideas. And they maintain positive tone and a playful tone, because the way we speak is also very important. We should not be dominating. We need not try to convince our point very hardly. No, we need to present our things and let everybody think parallelly along with us, so that they may also have their own viewpoints. So it should be very playful and energetic and supportive with respect to each other. So that kind of atmosphere is very important. And there should be scribes to note down all the ideas while one is speaking. The other should note down the ideas. And the better thing is, ask them, the other members, to switch off all the cell phones, laptops, and other deviations. There should not be any deviations from the point that we're discussing. Focus is very, very important. Make sure that everyone has a chance to contribute evenly. That's very important. And regarding the number of ideas, roughly every member should be able to generate at least 20 ideas, either from his own stories or from the stories of others. At least 20 ideas are supposed to be generated. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it should be out of that. Because that will create lots of ideas. Suppose if you take a 5-member or 6-member team, roughly 100 or 120 ideas will come up, and from that we can choose, we can prioritize later. And each idea should be captured separately, and possible directions of the implementation should also be given along with the idea. They can be act as builds for the next level, so that to prioritize the ideas, these builds are going to help us. So possible solutions, directions of the solutions are also very important. And all these things should be written on a post-it forms, and they should be sticked onto the wall. So this is how the brainstorming session should go on, in a more energetic and positive way. Continuing further, this brainstorming should generate volume of ideas, volumes, and keep pace also. Speed is also very important. You should not keep on dragging on one particular idea for so much of time. No, quickly generate ideas and move on to the next ideas. This is how we'll keep on moving. And don't be judgmental. Don't pass on any kind of judgments at this stage on any idea. Let the ideas evolve at this stage, and we can quickly move on to the next ones. It also makes sessions very lively, because keep on generating the ideas. If you put a break on that at one stage, the entire process may deviate. So stay focused only on generation of the ideas quickly, as many as possible, as variety as possible. And let the ideas go wild. Don't worry, just let them come out. And let others challenge on the assumptions that we make, because those also may create ways for us to prioritize. The best ideas can be generated when the ecosystem is very electrifying. So we need to maintain that. We need to maintain that entire process very energetic and electrifying. So that and there should be room for experimentation. No, we should not curb at any stage for experimentation, and we should not suppress any idea, even though it is wild, for experimentation. And the most expected changes which are on the externalities and which are extreme are going to attract more. So don't hesitate to put the ideas before the remaining members. They may be extraneous, don't worry, just keep on post the ideas. And ideas should never be based on, and should not be favored based on the person who had created it. We should give merit to the idea, but not to the person. So that's how we have to maintain the entire process. And ideas who create buzz are going to be very valuable. So we should put an eye on them. And innovators should not feel that there is a constant need for supervision. There should be less supervision on any of the member, and everyone should feel as if he is equally important. And as we know, this is a divergent phase again. In the previous phase of empathy also, we have seen the divergent and convergent phases. Initially, we have gone for exploration, divergence, and in the empathy phase, we have converged to finally converged to a question. We have formulated a question in the convergent phase. So here also, this is again a divergent phase. We'll keep on exploring the ideas, and ideas. In the next stage, we can converge to a particular idea. So that's the next stage.